Some more Lane. We got a lot of weird stuff in the last episode that may or may not be tied directly to everything that's been kind of occurring up to this point. And if it isn't, it's a really interesting thing for them to throw on the side that possibly could have led to the creation that has caused everything that we have now. And if it is, this guy who we can no longer probably even meet with or learn anything about basically set us up for where we are today. So it's not that pretty, right? It's not where we want to be. But I guess it's good because Lane's slowly kind of gluing in on some of the stuff that's happening. Although I find myself completely lost and confused still. I think that's okay. As I said before, I think like typically a lot of these shows you get to like 8 episodes in before you start like getting a lot of answers. So I feel like the more questions they keep piling up, we'll start getting answers maybe next time is kind of how I'm thinking. And if that's not the case, they're just going to give it to us on like episode 12 and call it a day. But I'm hoping it's soon. But I mean, who knows? There's probably way more that they can pile onto us and hurt my mind even more. So we'll see what ends up coming about. Hopefully you guys enjoy. If you like it all, like and subscribe to my channel. Feel free to stick around for the discussion on the comments of this specific series. Let's go in with episodes 7. It's interesting that they always start us off with like shots and things coming from the streets before they give us the like with a line of dialogue. Thank you, because I need to know. Thank you. I was gonna say before they give us whatever the title would be. This is insane. So she's aware. Okay. You're aware. Yeah, I don't get it either, but it's happening. Well, she looks a little better. Your sister is becoming what you were. I feel so bad for her sister. You communicate with it like this? Opera's in the metaverse. Oh my god. Oh, he literally is. He literally is. He's got the goggles on and everything. Look at him. What a sight. Oh, what? She's playing her cards. She knows what she can do. The fuck? I love her writing while the chalk goes in the background. It also sucks that they throw her in the front of the class. I wish you could sit in the back. It'd be way easier to do this. As you sit like that in your home, right? So why is it called the real world? No, she's not. Please help. I don't know what you can do, but please find something.
らいたいと思ってあちこち連れてったりして。本当にそう思ってたんだ。でももしレインが嬉しくなかったんだったら謝る。
そんなことない。嬉しくないなんて、そんなことない。
It's alright. It's alright. I can't tell you it's gonna be alright, but it's alright right now.
アリス、ありがとう。心配。
Yeah, when she's too far gone, we're gonna need you to try and pull her back.
でしょ。
Yeah, your friends in the Wired wouldn't listen to you like that. Try calling that the real world. That's the first time I feel like we've seen like an actual smile come out of Lain. Ah. Or possibly yesterday. I love how those are the visuals for it as well. I'm assuming the Knights are probably all the people that we saw. Really? Here somebody's after her. Yeah, the people that you're talking about are. No. She doesn't exist. Cut communication. Get out of here. Don't you ask some stupid shit like that. Start catching on to you. Banished. Out of this world. Again? Oh, different house. Who's this for? Same guy, though. Is he? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. He's spewing the same things. Is he one of the people who's like led to... Okay. Yeah. Ah, you killed the mood. I was gonna say, is he like one of the people who's like spreading the good word and trying to get people hooked, and he's trying to do all these things through like his delivery and his influence of whatever he's trying to like say to them by preaching about the Navis every time he ends up seeing them and letting them feel special and empowered because they end up having one? That's more fun in person. Oh. Maybe he's less weird than I thought now? I don't know. I don't know. They're back. Let's have just have a conversation with them. Just talk to them, Lain. Don't freak out. Yeah, that's true. You probably should identify yourself. Maybe you should explain it before we come with you? Before we get into strangers' cars? You know? This is so cool how they're doing this. Oh shit. We're gonna shut down your little game here, buddy. Okay. Gotta move on it.
こっちへ来て。どうしても本社のファイヤーボールに認証されない。アプリ側でやれることはやったんだ。
そこのジャンパー。
え？
これとこのジャンパー抜いてみてください。
すまないがお願いできるかな。
え？
Still no explaining or anything as to who we are. I just needed some more RAM, don't worry. So, that solves all problems. Wow. Well, I don't think so. Oh, we're seeing. Okay. No, because I don't think it exists.
悪ふざけが革命だと思い込んでるバカ者。そんな出会いならいくらでもいる。
Mm-hmm.
しかし、ナイツはどうもそういうのとは違うらしい。
ナイツ。
What is it that they
君がどれ
want?
だけ自覚的にやっていたのかは知らないが、君自身のワイヤードでの存在は極めて不自然なものだった。そしてどうやらナイツはそんな君に特別の関心を抱いたようだ。
Yes, they do.
奴らは君を何かに利用したがっているらしい。
Yes, it does.
我々にとってそれはどんな手段をとってでも阻止せねばならないのだ。
あなた、何？
I don't know if they're trying to use her directly or use her image as something, though. And her influence. They still haven't explained who they are or why we're here.
もちろんだと。君たちはデウスを信仰しているんだよな。僕も従うよ。でも本当なのかい？ワイヤードに神様なんているのかい？
Could be.
僕はまだ信じられないけど。でも仲間に入ったらもっと知ることができる。
I might be able to believe if you let me into the law club and, explain some stuff.
本当の名前など知っても意味がない。私にも彼らにも名前がない。
Do you belong to an organization or something?
岩倉レイン。君はワイヤードのレインと同一人物なのか？君は誰だ？
Bring you back to the beginning and what she was questioning.
君の両親は本当の両親か？君の姉は本当の姉か？
何言ってるの？
You ask her sister that, she'd have a very different
父親の
answer.
誕生日はいつだ？
Oh!
お父さんは
じゃあ母親の誕生日は？両親はいつ結婚した？
Oh no.
見合いか？
それだからそれは
なぜ知らない？聞いたこともないのか？
All these years, you never.
ないのか？小さい頃からか？どうなんだ？ 君はいつどこで生まれた？
A couple weeks ago.
いいじゃない。
わからないのか？すべて。
うるさいやつ。どうだっていいことばかり並べてくだらない。
おう。
Taking over. Oh, they've become one.
ワイヤードのレインなのか？
Yes, it is.
だったら
デバイスがなくともワイヤードとリアルワールドの境目がぐずぐずと崩れつつあることを君も知っているね。
だから
我々はそれを危険だと考えている。
I think it would be extremely. Yeah, but dangerous. They're just gonna let you walk and leave here?
いて。
Ugh. Oh,
何よ。
危険なのは君自身だ。
it's not even the Wired, it's you.
カール。
So we do have names.
面白いことが始まるのだよ。
So it's a good thing,
黙
though.
って見ていればいい。
I don't know about that. I wish you would get in between it a bit. I did talk about one of the earlier episodes. What if this actual version that we're seeing is actually the fake like thing in real life, and it's like a creation almost of her that has merged its way through, and somehow she's like creating this fictional life or something that she feels as though she kind of wants to live. I still don't think that's exactly it, but that'd be that'd be weird. Underground. Never mind. Damn. Thought you were invincible, bro. There it is. Again. Okay, let's see. What do we got? What do I got for y'all? I think I want to say clear things up, but at the same time I don't think we do, because I'm left really confused still. Okay, so the clearest thing I think that easily comes from this, there's a few things, and I guess I'll just nail out the things that I can definitively say that I feel extremely sure and confident in, and then we can branch out from there. So first, I think it's pretty clear at this point that whoever the knights are, I think, are essentially the bad people that we're going against here. And maybe that's completely a wrong thing to say, and I'm just not grasping things, but I think like if we were applying this to real world sense and we're applying what the Wired is, or my assumptions of it to be, when we end up seeing the men in the suits show up, they don't seem like the type of people, like their vision of what they want, which is to stop like the merger and the lines being blurred between, you know, the Wired and the real world, I think is an ideal scenario. It's more so what we should be having, or what I would prefer, of course, within the real world itself. So if I'm going to just follow that logic and assume everything is as black and white as this is, you know, fictional Wired stuff and this is real world, I'm going to side with them. So my assumption would be the knights themselves, who seem to be utilizing either Lain herself, which I don't actually believe. I think they're more so utilizing the image, or this, I don't know, I guess the right word for it, but this vision of who they want her to be, or who they're trying to portray her to be. Similar to, I guess, like in our world, how like people would look upon somebody as a god, and they would have, you know, we have religions and everything that kind of branch off and are based on these figures, right? I would assume it's more so the same thing, where they're creating this ideal kind of presence of a person that everybody can kind of admire or want to be around, who can hold all the power and do all these things, and they're utilizing the recognition of the name in the image and everything that they have of her, to whatever benefits and stuff that they have, so, or that they can have to obtain more power and do the things that they want. It's type of like corrupt church type of things, right, where a lot of people have these sort of visions and stuff that the church is just out for money and using you to kind of scam you and do all these things to kind of get you in, and for their own benefits, is kind of how I almost view this. If we were to take it like that, they're essentially creating something that possibly might not be, they might not even believe in themselves, and they're utilizing that fully to their benefits to obtain more power, which they could easily do by getting more and more people in, and gain more information to people who are willingly kind of disclosing this stuff and trying to get in like the good grace and the presence of this godlike figure. I think easily you can obtain a lot of the stuff that you really want, and that might be a wrong read entirely on it, but even if it is some sort of route like that, I just don't think they're utilizing exactly who we're seeing Lain to be, and instead are trying to utilize a version or vision that they can kind of almost manifest of her, to fulfill this prophecy or whatever it is that they're attempting to. So my assumption would be, in simple terms, yeah, they're bad. the knights are bad and the guys in the suits are kind of good, right? And I think that kind of clears itself up pretty nicely here. The other thing, the knights being the housewife that we end up getting to see, the guy in the suit, and the guy at home who is just chilling, you know. I think those are the three that are like almost certain are probably who the knights are. So they're not actual people. And maybe they could be, right? Maybe we're playing really into some other deeper shit that I don't even want to start theorizing on because it's gonna burn my brain if I even try to. But it's where I'm headed there. And I think we get that symbol as well, which can kind of almost indicate, I'm assuming, who they are, which gives them certain abilities and stuff similar to the thing that she like kind of tapped into and like plugged into her computer, which her dad was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I'm assuming having whatever equipment this is that she ended up putting into it, because we end up seeing she puts one into the computer for this other guy and it doesn't have that symbol on it at all. I'm assuming that is like a indication or something in there. It's like a special version of whatever that allows them to unlock more power than they kind of need to. And I'm also left wondering, I guess, based on some of the stuff that they talk later with the parents and, you know, Lain and her questioning and all that, if her dad possibly could be a part of it, which could, I guess, answer some of the other things regarding her and the questioning of like who she is and if her parents are even real and all that stuff, and if she is even real too. I think answers some of that stuff, but I'm not really holding too much hope out onto that theory. But I guess it could just be something. I think the only other thing that really gets confirmed here is the idea that we're 100% having Lain switch in and out. She doesn't have to be in a state where she's like linked to the wired or something, or she's like at a computer, or she's like doing anything to force herself into this other version. And it is easily, I think, confirmable through what occurred at the club and also now, where she's almost like backed into a corner of not knowing what to do. And this other version essentially has to come out and save her. We get to see that here, where she is panicking and she's nervous and she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know how to answer. She doesn't know anything really. And instead we end up going, all right, at this point her entire body just shuts down and this other side and this other version of her comes out. And then we also get to see that at the club, where it's like she's just frozen, stuck in place and nervous and doesn't know what to do until the wired version of her comes out. And then that's the more aggressive side that ends up showing up. So it seems like that's kind of the thing where whenever she's like pushed against where she doesn't know exactly what to do, back against the wall type of thing, the wired version of her can kind of come out, which we also then confirm too. It seems as though the present version of her, like the version that we're assuming to be the real version of her, is not aware of who the wild version is, or no, is very aware of who the wild version is. Wired version, but wild, I guess, because that's how they described it. But the wired version, I don't believe, is entirely certain of who the other version of her is. That part I'm not fully sold on yet, but I believe that's also something that they're really laying out for us here. So I think those are like the baseline things of like, yeah, this is kind of what we have here. And everything else just kind of dives further into me having to theorize and create like theories and stuff on this. So, which we will do, and we will start with exactly right now. So I mean, it took me this long to really, I've picked up on it before, but even really just say it and actually confirm it for myself that they do start every episode off with like shots of the city and getting like these like really like weird ominous kind of like words that they speak to us, and it's like, what are you talking about? And then they just cut into the episode. Hey, what happened in this society in the beginning, just because you don't know it. Well, I don't, and I don't think you really explained that. I love the acknowledgement by her own self here about who the version of who she is and how it's becoming less and like who she actually is, or who the wired version is, and it's coming less and less like her. And she's confused as to why that's happening. The sister seems to be still completely broken. I feel like we saw Lain, and that's the thing that really is where I'm like, what the fuck's happening? Lain was in this state completely when she was not, what was it, after the shooting happened, right? And we see her talking to the police officer, and it seems like she's like mouthing words and nothing's really coming out, and she's struggling to like really get her words out there. It's the exact same thing that's happening here with her sister, which I fully don't get to. Like I can understand if we find ourselves in a spot where the sister seeing this other thing has completely like fried her because it like just shattered everything and she has no clue how any of this occurred. And I can see her in the state that she's in now because of that. But I also can see, if we go back into the last episode with the experiments and everything that they talk about, if something like that happened where there's a possibility that the other versions and these wired versions are here, and if for whatever reason they can each coexist as they're trying to merge, but while Lane's can kind of manifest within itself and merge within its own body, it seems like the others possibly can't. And if that is a situation that can definitely occur, maybe seeing and becoming in close contact with these other versions sends off these sort of like electric signals or whatever to yourself, and it kind of fries you the same way that what happened with all these other kids and stuff within the experiment did. I'm not exactly sure. They do a really cool job at displaying this guy who's walking around, who's attempting to essentially get closer to Lain and essentially get closer and wanting to become one of the knights. He's the version of who the people that you see like nowadays walking around with the Vision Pro goggles, thinking that, you know, they're in a different world, or the people who are in the metaverse or whatever. It's absolutely insane. And he's not a knight, like, to my knowledge. He's just a person, of course, who wants to be one, and he's doing everything in his power. And he's the type of person that we're trying to protect people from, because it can get scary of him thinking that he's in like this alternate reality as opposed to being in the real world, even though he's plainly just kind of walking around here. I'm assuming all the dialogue and stuff that's happening and stuff like between these characters is pretty irrelevant. And the only thing that's actually relevant is for us to actually see this symbol and the smile and everything on his face to like clue in a little bit as to who he actually might be. Same thing here when we end up getting to see this guy who has a problem with everybody else, who wants to have this extra power and feel like he's above others. The real world isn't real at all. Lain really starting to question so much and being extremely confused, similar to where we are. I think you're slipping again. It's nice that she actually has a good friend here who's trying to hold her down, trying to be like, we're doing, or trying to do things for you. We want to make sure that you're good. We care greatly for you, and we don't want that to happen, right? That's what friends are for. Really appreciate her. I do have bad feelings about things that possibly could go down and occur with her before, but so it seems like people broke through the system, hacked a bunch of shit. The Wired's going crazy. I love the way that they broadcast and announce this. But yeah, likely assuming it's the Knights, as that's kind of what they end up saying too. I don't know what their goal or what it is that they're doing, but they're trying to manipulate everything and utilize as much as they can for power. People talking about Lain not actually knowing or seeing of who she is, which would give more into the idea of like maybe she doesn't actually have a physical version within the Wired, and it's more of like this imaginary version that she's kind of creating in her own mind, but also could just be this version that they're trying to display to others that isn't actually like a real thing, to give them like this false sense of hope. Really weird interaction between these people, like extremely weird. Her, I get it's like more so to set her up and like her having a family and a kid and all this stuff and still being one of the knights. He's the more interesting one here to me, because like I got no fucking clue what he's after. He makes the same exact comments towards Lain whenever he comes and he drops things off. It's just like, it's weird. I don't know. I was making the assumption at first, like maybe he's being like one of these pawns or something that's being utilized by the Knights to sort of go out of his way and like preach, trying to get people addicted to the Wired, trying to get people to buy new Navi so that they can have more power and kind of do all these things. But I don't know, as we go through in the reveal that ends up occurring with her and everything, I'm starting to think maybe that's not the case. But I just feel like there's no way he just doesn't have one. I feel like he does, and he's like laying it down on all of them like this. I don't know. The mom being like, can you just play online instead of going in person? Yeah, insane. Wired and real world are one and the same. No, the fuck they're not. The boys show up. Yeah, we just don't want to harm you, but we want to take you. We'll only tell you, yeah, let's just get in the car with the fucking random men, Lain. That's always the smart thing to do. That's always the smart thing to do. Really love the way that they drop all like noise essentially, except for like the things that are happening in the world. So like no music or dialogue or anything between the characters until we walk in. But he's trying to get through here, and of course Lain is the only one who's going to be able to figure this out for him, and he wants to make sure that she's actually capable of doing the things that she is. As we see, we're inputting something else into the computer. It's completely different. Doesn't seem to have the symbols or anything that we had before. So I thought this here, when they're like, Lain, you're one of the Knights and all this, was him saying that, but it's literally just this guy, I'm pretty sure, who's trying even harder to still become one of them. Wired doesn't have borders or anything, and people are being idiots and trying to create pranks and do this revolution. That's where we are modern, right? Like a lot of people doing things through online and trying to like start these uprisings and do these different things and cancel people and ruin their entire lives and stuff directly through this thing that isn't even real, as opposed to actually facing people and dealing with the real consequences and stuff that come about within your own life. That's what we see at the end. The guy probably dying or getting hit by a car or something happening to him as he's kind of off-roaded, and his vision and everything, like his cameras and the face mask and everything that he essentially had on, right? All of that stuff just being like his VR thing just being completely destroyed. I'm assuming is like somebody like that who thinks that he's kind of untouchable and invincible in the state that he's in. He's messing around until he gets into the real world, which is where he's actually been the entire time, and he gets completely fucked up. The Ites have a special interest in you. Yeah, they're using you, but I don't know exactly what it is. We're trying to prevent that, and I completely agree with them, and I think this is the appropriate thing for us to actually do. Like, I think they're on to the right thing. I love how they start questioning exactly who she is, who her parents are. And this is where that real theory of what I've talked about before comes in, where it's like, why can't you just answer this question, right? She came home from the police station that day and all of a sudden absolutely nobody was there. We see these visions before where she's being told these like very like philosophic things from her parents that never really seem to have like normal father-daughter or mother-daughter interactions or anything. The family dynamic seems extremely dysfunctional and weird. It could just be like a manifestation on her part entirely through neglection and stuff that she's always had, and it's a way of her to connect and try and create a place for her to make friends and do all things that kind of went a little too far. But even if that isn't the case, we can entirely just be playing into none of this stuff actually exists, and instead she does exist in a place maybe on the wired, and this is the fake version or something essentially that she has created of herself or whatever, to actually allow for her to feel like she's having like this at home and this family life and all these other things. But then she's unable to answer everything completely until she's completely backed into a corner, and the other version of her immediately comes out. They recognize that, they know it right away without a device, but you're able to just kind of immediately go through and crumble whatever that border possibly could be. Yeah, it sounds interesting. It's really fucking scary, but you're absolutely right. It sounds interesting. Yeah, you're the one who's dangerous. I love him calling out Carl. Maybe the name of Carl and remembering that'll be interesting a little bit going forward. I don't know. Seems like she threw it out and replaced whatever the old version of this probably was, possibly destroyed and fried as a result of what they were talking about earlier in the episode. I don't know. And Buddy just completely destroyed and broken here. I don't know if something bad really ended up happening to him. I wonder if they were trying to contact him or if he got to it and then they were able to take him out as a result. I don't know. That was pretty sick though. Awesome episode. I'm very excited to get into more. I feel like we're slowly hitting our stride. We're getting there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you liked it, I'll like and subscribe to me. Not my favorite YouTube. Check out the videos and channel. Comments for this episode of series. I'll be back for episode 8 very soon. I hope it was a great one. Peace.